You're probably just like me and started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 journals and have never finished them. It is not because you're inconsistent, it's because those systems were not really created for you. So today I want to talk about a couple of journals that I've found really useful in my life, as well as some journaling techniques that I do on a blank piece of paper or a blank notebook that hopefully can help unlock this beautiful and powerful practice for your own life. Hi, my name is Luis. Here in Planet Engineer, we do a lot of gear review, as well as giving you some of the practices and tools that help you succeed in your career through analog thinking and paper notebooks. I'm a full-time engineer that does a lot of thinking on paper, and the most important thing I do is recording my day-to-day, making sure all my design processes are well documented and they are well put into paper. This could be on a spreadsheet on a computer, but one of the things I rely most are physical notebooks to write things down to make sure I'm not forgetting important things that is going to affect my design projects. Beyond that, I use these tools for my mental practices, making sure I am staying mentally healthy and processing my feelings. And these tools really have enhanced that experience a lot better than just typing on a computer or just using my phone to record those thoughts and feelings. Paper really does something unique. And today I just want to walk through, again, some of the journal techniques that I've used, a couple of interesting journals that I have here with me, and hopefully you enjoy this video. I want to start with this journal here, the Intentional Day Journal, and this is by one of my friends, Jeff Perry. He also has an incredible book, The Intentional Engineer. So I want to look at his journal here today, and I haven't filled out any of the pages in here specifically, just so I'm not sharing any like private information, but I'm using these practices and using these techniques on my own paper journal. So let's take a look at what Jeff has proposed here. And again, he has some nice introduction on kind of the reasoning behind this journal. And something that I found very useful is, again, you have kind of your starting reflection. You can look at your quarter, your monthly objectives and goals and whatnot, and then you start kind of outlining and reflecting on kind of the month. I like to start thinking on kind of a bigger scale first, and then kind of narrow down those goals. So this approach really resonated with me. You have kind of all the monthly pages kind of at the beginning, and this is a 90-day journal. So you're going to be using this journal for about 90 days, and then obviously you either need to buy a new one, or you can, again, apply these practices to your own life in your own notebook. So you have your morning reflection, again, something that Jeff is very keen on, and just kind of being grateful in this morning if you follow his content at all online. Something that I found really powerful to myself as well is just, again, starting on a positive note. You start journaling, you start being grateful in the morning before life gets crazy, before the kids wake up, before all of these things happen, and you make sure you have an intention for that day. And you come back and reflect in the evening. I've done kind of a modified version of this over the years, but what are the good things that happen? What are the things that are worth remembering? Any reflections, thoughts, anything that maybe stood out that day? And one of the benefits of that is just getting all that gunk inside your head, inside your day to day, and making sure you put it out on paper. You get better sleep, you're more prepared for the next morning, and overall you just get better quality sleep, and you're going to feel more prepared in the future. So this goes on. Again, you have 7 days for the week, and then at the end you get a kind of weekly reflection. Again, going back to some of the things that we've talked about in this channel as well, is just what are some of the things that you did this week, some of the things that made you feel good, some of the things that could improve in your life. I think that's very well put here, and some of the kind of prompts that he gives you, as well as kind of planning for the next week. These are very well structured journal. Again, very intentionally put, kind of as the name intends, and hardcover, so you won't really bend it or scratch or anything. And again, Jeff has done some amazing work. So make sure you also read the book. Again, this is it's called Intentional Engineer, but it's obviously driven to technical professionals, as well as really if you are a professional trying to do your job this gives you some great tools that are going to help you in your career. The second kind of prompted journal that I've started and I've done in a few times in the past is this Monk manual. This one, again, feels also very high quality, kind of a faux leather at the front. Pages are nice and thick, so they don't kind of bleed through or anything. Again, I've started this one a little while ago and never really stuck to it. Again, it's something that I've given it a try. I have experimented with, but again, this is a well-structured journal that I think will be great. For me, again, the monthly was almost unusable. You get very small boxes, but it could be good for maybe habit tracking or doing something else in these small boxes. And you have, again, the prepare, the check-in, I think is very important. Relationships, physical, spiritual, work, vocation, personal growth, and play. Some of the things that I still do to this day. And I'm glad I was kind of introduced to this some years ago. And again, you have your reflection and kind of looking ahead. So again, very well structured. Some of the things that are powerful here are the way you walk through some of the months and weeks, as well as just seeing the progress you've made. Comes with 3 ribbons for the monthly, the weekly, and I believe there is kind of a quarterly somewhere. But again, very well structured, has some note pages in the back. Very nice journal, feels great as well. Something that worth considering if you're looking to purchase a structured journal. So with those kind of out of the way, I want to walk through some of the journal techniques that I've used over the past. And I'm not going to go through this journal kind of in a lot of detail. Just again, it's very personal, and obviously, I don't want to share kind of that information here. But one of the things that has helped me in the past is the brain dump process. Everything kind of in your head, get it out on paper, put it on a piece of paper, a notebook, sometimes even a notepad does the job. And depending on actually the content of that, I sometimes just even shred it or burn it or just do something else with it just because it is that personal in the first place. And then a few things that I picked up from, again, this Monk manual is having the priorities kind of set out and laid out in that process. Something that, again, it stuck to me and I do it kind of in my main journal right here is just laying out some of the top priorities that you have in that day. As someone that struggles a lot with just kind of the feeling portion of it, sometimes getting stuff out that are maybe a little more functional and not so kind of feeling and desires has been a great way to get just hand on paper and starting to journal and getting some of those thoughts out there, getting my kind of brain going in the morning and getting it organized. Another great technique that I've used in the past is just sketching things out. Again, using paper to draw engineering drawings, or just if I'm looking at something and just kind of need some time to reflect or get my mind kind of out of something that is bothering me or stressing me out, just doodling on a piece of paper, getting something out could be something I'm looking at, something abstract. That technique has been so valuable to me that I use it frequently in my notebooks. And I truly just enjoy, again, feeling the paper being scratched by the pen and just seeing the final product at the end. Could be good, could be bad, that's subjective. But to me, it's just the practice of getting my hand moving and kind of that mind to hand to paper connection that we all know and love on this channel. So some of those techniques are very valuable. Again, the brain dump, could be project notes or something that is bothering you, getting all out on paper, keeping a task list, some of the things that you need to do that day. Could be sketches or doodling or something, just getting the hand moving on paper, and then just doing a reflection at the end of the week. Could be 5 minutes, could be 10 minutes, could be half an hour, however long it takes. And to me, those things help me get set up for the week in a better way, as well as just help me process what just happened in the previous week and again, clear all that gunk out of my system and help me start fresh and feel better just starting the week overall. With that being said, there's a few things I do want to highlight that have made the process maybe a little more challenging in the past. And again, like I mentioned here with the Monk manual, this one was a little too structured for me. and again, kind of focusing a lot on scheduling part and maybe just too rigid. I didn't quite have the space to sometimes write everything. You do have kind of a priority list right here that is very interesting, and you have a to-do list, and I'm grateful for some of these things here are great. Like I also mentioned, I've been kind of trying this intentional journal by Jeff. Again, great prompts. I use some of these prompts again on my own journal, not necessarily in here, just because again, I prefer kind of the flexibility if maybe my reflection is going to go a little longer. I don't want to be restricted by the space, but I love the prompts. I love having kind of that and actually transfer them into a note card so I can keep it with me and journal. I think that's the most important part. Just journal on them and reflect on what's happening. And that's kind of one of the things that sometimes we forget about when we're trying to develop this journaling habit is we think it needs to be every day. We need to be super consistent. We need to set a time and a schedule. And those are great advice. But for me, sometimes when I get to that space, I don't feel like journaling at that time. Maybe it's a different time. Maybe it's in the evening. Maybe it's in the morning. So having the flexibility to just bring your notebook out whenever you feel compelled, whenever you feel like you need to get something out, that has been the best way for me. And that sometimes means I don't touch my notebook for 4, 5, 6 days. And that's totally okay. And also just having a simple notebook. I've used this one for a while. This is a Moleskine, not the greatest paper. I used this one for a few years, way back in the day. These days, I've been using the Traveler's Company notebook. I have a pen clip here. And again, tomorrow paper. Very nice to write. Works really well with fountain pens. And obviously, I just enjoy the quality of the leather and the feeling and some of the things, again, that we've talked about here in the past. So keeping fancy systems and processes sometimes could be a good thing. For me, I found that the simpler I keep it, and you can see this one is a very thin notebook. I don't have anything fancy in here, it's just a notebook and a pen or two. Sometimes I keep either vanishing point, which is right here, or just a different pen to write things down. That's the only thing that happens here. I do stick paper and whatnot whenever I get either inspiration to do it or sometimes even the time to do it. But keeping it simple is the most important part. And finally, don't think you need to fill out a whole page. Sometimes a couple lines, a couple sentences. That's where I kind of go back to the basic bullet journaling kind of technique where I'm not writing full sentences. Sometimes is a couple of notes, a couple of feelings, a couple of tasks, some things that I can do the rapid logging process and just get it out of my system and just put it on paper. I think that's sometimes the best approach and just eliminates anything that you may not need to be doing. So there goes just a little overview, kind of my journal techniques, what that's been looking like in the past. We have some of these structured journals that I've again, taking a lot of notes on this intentional journal. I'm going to leave it linked down below for you to check out. Again, I've taken a lot of cues and prompts from this monk manual in the past. Now it's more of free writing, following the prompts. Again, sometimes when I'm feeling stressed out or something that is not working well, I kind of go back to my notebook, use that information from there, and just allow myself to think and put it all on paper here. So what does your journaling technique look like? I want to hear about, I know there's a ton of videos out there about different journal techniques, from morning pages to, again, the brain dump, free writing, whatever you want to call all of these. I think for me, the most important part is make sure I'm using it intentionally. I'm using it the ways that work for me. And I'm using it the times that I feel most stressed out and I feel like I need to get something out of me and onto paper. That's been the best part of all of this journey of analog thinking and analog planning and all of that. But I want to hear from you. What are some of the journaling techniques that you do on a regular basis or enjoy doing? I want to check them out. I want to try them out for myself. So leave a comment below and let me know what techniques are you using. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to leave a couple of videos down here on some of the analog tools that I enjoy using, as well as maybe something that YouTube is going to recommend up here for you to watch. While those are on the screen, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you in the next one.